Hello, it's Tom from BlackToad Studio, and this is a special weekday of a Wargamer. As you can see in front of you, I have got out all of my Black Templar and also Imperial Guard and some Inquisition assassins and a couple of super heavies here. And this is basically what forms what I call my Galerias Crusade or Imperial Crusade force, which is obviously led by the Black Templars, but during their crusade into the area they're in, they're gradually accumulated. Some guard help, also some Sisters of Battle have tagged along, and various other Imperial forces that have felt the need to lend a hand to the Crusade, and that is kind of my ultimate vision, is to have a big Imperial force based around kind of a Crusade fleet that the Templars run, and they all go together and mix and match their units where they're required. It's kind of what I want to do for a while, and I just noticed it's starting to come together now that I finished my Guard recently. Obviously, those of you who follow the channel would have noticed that the Imperial Guard force that I had here, I'll just go a little bit more into detail down here, has been redone to bring it a bit up to a better standard. Obviously, we're on snow bases here, but that was more of a decision by me just to make them look a little bit different, because I've got a lot of very similar basing on my normal Templar Marines, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different with them, and I quite like how they've actually turned out, to be honest, so I will be continuing with that theme. But yes, so the Imperial Guard Regiment, just to give you an idea of how my ideas work, is basically, it's going to be using the Catachan regimental traits or doctrine, and that is to basically simulate they're quite a stronger force that tag along with my Templars over here, and that's because the Templar recruits actually come from that regiment. So as the good ones sort of rise to the top, they become the idea is they become a neophyte in the Templars Crusade over here. So it's kind of like a self-supply thing, and they're not too fussy where they collect these people from. If they fit the bill, they join this regiment over here and try and adopt a Templar-esque way of living, if that makes sense. So I've tried to keep psychic stuff to a bare minimum. In fact, I haven't got anything in this entire thing on the board bar, I think it's grey faxes in the middle somewhere, which I'll go over in a second. So yes, at the moment we've got 4 guard squads here, some heavy weapon choices, a good mixture of command squads options and special weapons, and a Lord Commissar in there, and a couple of commanders. And they're backed up by some Russes. As I come here over here, we're just working on another tank here to add to the force, another Torok, so that's the one. And then in the middle here, which is the form of, the way I want to run this Guard regiment is going to be artillery. And that is why I've got some Wyverns here and obviously a Manticore, and I have finally decided that my next purchase for this army, because it's about 1,500 points now if I don't include super heavies, maybe a little bit more touch will go on each side. It's going to be some Medusas from Forge World, I think, because I want it to fit that artillery-esque kind of army. It's going to be the siege batteries, so the immobile ones, not the vehicles. Obviously, backing these up, we have a little knight selection back here. It's only 2 at the moment, but my ultimate plan, I think, as you saw in a previous video, is to bring in maybe a Knight Valiant and then some Armigers, just to make a little 1,500, 2,000 point force to add into this, and they'll all be painted in the scheme of this knight here, and I'm just starting to work on that one, as you can see. Also, I have a little bit of air support back here, which is a Valkyrie, just hiding up out the way there. And then, because I wanted, because I was quite a big Sister Battle fan back when I first got into the hobby. In fact, it was one of my first armies I ever collected. Actually, I used to have quite a large force, but I got rid of it a little while ago, which I kind of regret. But obviously, I started to do these ones here, as you can see. This is kind of alongside a little Inquisition force, which is also just modelled in here. So we've got some Assassins, Grey Fax, got Celestine mixed in there, some Crusaders and Death Cult Assassins. But the idea is to expand out the Sisters of Battle army to become a similar size as the Guard army over here. So maybe sort of pushing to about 3,000 points overall, I reckon. And that will be done next year when they release the new Sisters of Battle models, because that's what I'm really looking forward to. I started doing this, and then literally Sod's Law would dictate, as soon as I finished a few of these models, there's lots of rumours flying around, and yes, it was announced that obviously they're going to be done next year. So I've just completely put a stop on that, because I don't really see the point until the new stuff's come out, because it does look pretty promising. And obviously no big Crusade is complete without a little bit of a Titan in here. So this is my Warhound Scout Titan. It's been through several stages of rework. It's actually, I think it's been 3 or 4 different colour schemes, and I finally settled on this one here, kind of an off grey with red on it, because I think it just looked right after I actually finished it for the well, I think it was the 4th time, and I put it on a nice big base there because I got sick and tired of it wobbling all over the place, and also because it was one of my first big Forge-World models I did. I'm not really happy with the pose, but I don't really want to muck around with it now because I just feel like I'll end up breaking it and so on and so on. So if I ever did another one, the leg pose would be very different, and also the arm and the head and everything. I think it was one of the, I think I got it just before they stopped doing the Lucius pattern as well. I mean, a lot of people like the Mars one. I really like the Lucius pattern one here, and I'm really glad I got hold of one because I don't think you can pick them up anymore. So yeah, that's the Inquisition Guard and various other sort of Imperial forces. Obviously the Assassins just in there. I've got one of each just to sort of round that out. And then obviously into the main forces, obviously the one I've been collecting probably the longest now, which is my Black Templars force. And it's evolved several times over my collection, kind of collection time. Mainly because of the way, I suppose, the editions of Warhammer 40k evolved over time. I mean, I've gone from having big squads to small squads to everything in a transport, everything not in a transport. I used to love dreadnoughts and so on. That's why I've got quite a lot of them, as you can see back here. I'm very happy with them. I much prefer the Forge-World ones now. I just feel like they've got a little bit more of an edge than the standard ones. I haven't really run the basic ones for well, actually getting them out of the box. I think they haven't been out of the box. I've had them in probably for over a year or so, probably since I did a similar video to this showing just off the Templars. So same with Terminators. I used to love Terminators. I still like the Assault Terminators. And the other Terminators here in the middle, I've got another 10 and the 5 Tartarus ones here, just to round out that, because I wanted a few different patterns. I still love them from a point of view of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to work. But I just feel at the moment in the game they don't quite fill that role anymore, especially for the points that they cost. I mean, they can be quite useful sometimes, but they're very hit and miss, I find. It's in a similar vein. I find that the Crusader squads at the front here, they just seem like a slightly different tactical squad. I mean, obviously we do get the option to add a massive amount of neophytes to each of the initiate squads here, which is great. However, I just feel like we're suffering from a little bit of the getting rolled into the Codex Astartes kind of thing. And I feel like maybe we could have a little bit more difference. But to be honest, I'm not too fussed. I try and make do with what we get here, and also just try and play it the way you want to play it, as everyone says. If you enjoy it to play it a certain way, just do that regardless of how it plays. Obviously, at the front here, we've got quite a few HQ choices now. They've been building up over the years, all the way from the new to the very old. I'm trying to think. I think the oldest one probably is the Emperor's Champion here, and he's been through several different paint iterations. I've settled on this kind of scuffed up, battle-weary looking Emperor's Champion now, because I feel like as much as we've been trying to maintain his armour, it's just taken an absolute beating in this crusade. And then we're going to slightly, in fact I think this is probably one of the newer ones, is the Jump Pack Chaplain here. I recently redid the Terminator Chaplain here, which actually I think turned out a lot better after his repaint. As we go through this video, you'll probably notice a few slightly different colour schemes that have crept into my Templars over the years, and I'll try and point them out as I go. And I also redid Grimoldus here, who turned out much better than he previously was. I think actually Helbrick's probably a good example of one of my older paint schemes, because I haven't actually redone him yet, but I think I put a bit of red and I redid his sword because the original sword unfortunately snapped, and it was just becoming a pain to stick on, so I've converted to a plastic Nemesis sword from the Grey Knight kit. And also here's another example of some of the older paint schemes. These servitors here, which come with Grimoldus. That's probably one of the, in fact it's probably, I think, might be one of the oldest paint jobs I've got here. And they turned out all right, but they're just, I used to use quite a heavy gold and silver kind of trim on all of my Templars, and you'll see a couple of them in here. I'm trying to find a couple of other examples. There's one there. So it's like the Power Fist one here. I haven't got around to redoing them because actually I found that Power Fists just really aren't all that, to be honest, now. So they were the last things on my list to get repainted. I recently did the Scouts in the new scheme with the red weapons, which is what my recent scheme is. And then at the moment, I think I'm trying to find the one that I'm currently settling on for my... here we are, yes. Put them at the front so I can find them. This is actually my current redo of my Templar scheme, so I've gone with a much more starker white, and I've cleaned up the edges and obviously put a good red vibe on there. And that's basically what I'll be aiming to do. There are a few of them I've just started to creep into here. I've been going back over them. It just takes quite a lot of time and motivation to pick up a model that you've painted probably 2 or 3 times and just try and bring it up to a good standard again. So you'll gradually see, hopefully over the coming year, next year that is, that they'll gradually all get up to a similar standard, especially when I compare them to my Primaris, which are at the back over here, who are quite clean in comparison. And obviously that was done for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're brand new recruits, so they're not really going to have a lot of battle scars or damage on them just yet. Skin the Reavers over here. So I've tried to keep them reasonably clean cut and nice elite lines on them. And I think they came out good. Likewise with some of the newer Terminators I've done, they're all quite a clean colour on there. Unlike if we go to the back here, you can see this is one of my older Rhinos. Across on there myself, along with, used to have gold trim on them rather than red. It's quite an old Rhino. I don't think I've got any more Rhinos on that one now because I don't really see the point of them at the moment. I think I got rid of them quite a while ago actually, now I'm thinking about it. Obviously we've got a good amount of Forge-Railed knocking about in here as well. So we've got a Leviathan, Dio, which is in the older style. I'm going to be redoing this one, probably going to take that white back up to a cleaner white and also just use the white well, recipe I suppose that I use for the which I've used for the Primaris down here, just to bring that up again. It's similar to the way I'll be doing. I've done the Spartan here because that was one of the newer ones which I've done, so that's had a newer paint job on it, which actually came out really nice. I'm really happy with that. And likewise, I think I redid the Relic Contemptor here. I left a bit of gold on it just to hark back to the way I used to paint. Again, there's a one over the back here, which is one of my Land Raiders Crusaders here, which is the old metal one on the side there. I've got to redo the bolters on that and also other bits just to bring that gold away and go back up to red, which I'm much more prefer. Same with the, I think the Stormtowns had a reasonably recent paint job on them, and also the Cast Assault Round, which I finally finished a few weeks ago, which I like the final look on that. And also a couple of little speeders back here. I haven't really found much use to use them in games yet. I just find them very expensive for what they do, so they rarely make a list. And also a little bit of heavy support in the middle here, a few Vindicators, a couple of Predators, and obviously the Laser Destroyer. Some I think this is when I was going through my phase of actually trying to win games, which is when the Grav stuff was pretty powerful. So I ran the 3 Grav Centurions here, and I think now putting them in a list points-wise it's just mad, really, especially with the cost of the weapons and what they do. I think they've got a purpose, but they're extremely expensive now in comparison. And I think, like I said, it's one of the less used units of army because it doesn't really fit how I wanted to have them play either. It was more of a, I think I had a tournament a couple of times. I thought I'd just basically sacrifice what I'd normally do and put them in to make them a bit more competitive. And then in the middle here we have some Vanguard Veterans with jump packs. I really like those ones. They were quite good fun to paint as well, actually. And alongside their Stern Guard brethren here, which obviously I'm going to call them Sword Brothers, but that's kind of, that's what they used to be. I do have some old Sword Brothers knocking about, but I'm not sure whether I'll be repainting them at the moment. That's a bit of a, I'm not too sure I want to at the moment, because I quite like what I've got elites wise here anyway. So yeah, I've got a couple of Stern Guard squads there, one with Plasma and Combi Plasma, and one with the Gravs and the Combi Gravs, which I used to run in 6 drop pods that I've got, which I haven't got on the table at the moment, mainly because they took up a lot of space and I didn't want to try and slam it all on the table. But also, I don't think I've used a drop pod in 8th edition yet. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I think they're overpriced and pretty much, well, I suppose, I mean, maybe not useless, but I just don't see what I would use them for, because I think the old method used to be to put in some good powerful weaponry, drop it in and then fire on it, but a lot of the power weapons is quite short range and I don't feel you get enough hitting power when you do come down. So that is my current Imperial force at the moment. I've got some other bits knocking about for all the Templars. I do have, I think, another Vanguard Veteran squad to paint up, which is currently on foot. And this is what I've been concentrating on mainly at the moment. Instead of buying lots of new stuff, I've been really trying to go through my backlog of stuff. I mean, I've opened up a couple of drawers and I found, I think, probably 30 or so Marines that I can assemble. And I've been thinking, well, why did I buy them? So I'm just trying to now use them in this force and sort of get them all into my Red Scorpions. But this is obviously about my Black Templar Galerias Crusade force, because it's always been the one that I'm trying to keep at a really big size. And looking forward to maybe getting this down into an Apocalypse game one day. You never know. I've got to find an opponent with a similar amount of models. which is normally quite a difficult task sometimes. Obviously, Dom's my nearest go-to person when I want to have a big battle, because he's got a real similar size force of Renegade Guard and also his Word Bearers, which normally work out in quite a good slugfest. Hopefully we're going to have another one of them soon, once we get a bit of time to get these guys on the table. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you've got any comments or any suggestions on what I should add to the forces, it doesn't matter either whether it be the Guard or the Inquisition or whatever, or the Templars, let me know, and I'll take it into consideration and maybe start doing a few requests to add to the army, because I've got to the point where I've got so many things I actually really like in here now that I think from now on I'm going to try and bring in stuff that I don't have, just to sort of round out the forces. So thanks for watching. This is Tom from BlackToad Studio. Take care, everyone.